Musaling. I'm from class 2T4. Now I will presentation my English homework about how to install computer from the first to the last. Step 1 is procuring parts. First, you will need to buy the parts necessary to build the computer. The parts we will use in this project are: first, processor; second, computer case; third, optical drive; fourth, memory; fifth, power supply; six, SATA cables; 7, motherboard; 8, processor fan; 9, cache fan; 10, hard drive; 11, assortment of cache and drive screws; 12, flowers, necessary if you are invading the space of your significant other. Most, if not all, of these parts can be brought together in what is known as a bare bones kit. Step 2. Gather tools and supplies. Gather the tools you will need for the project are: first, screwdriver for slotted and Phillips head screws; second, wire cutters and strippers; third, needle nose pliers; fourth, utility knife; fifth, small flashlight; 6, adjustable wrench; 7, small container to hold screws; 8, heatsink compound; 9, grounding strap. You may not use every single one of these tools in every installation, but it is best to have all of them, and all in case you have a use for them. Step 3 is open the case. Open the computer case by removing the side panels. Find the screws that hold the side panels in place and remove them. The panel is removed by first sliding it back, then lifting it away from the case. Step 4 is prepare the case for assembly. 3 things need to be done before assembly begins. First, remove any part or packaging material that may have been shipped inside the case. Second, remove the cover for the optical drive. Do this pressing in the retaining tabs. And the third, make note of the cables pre-installed in the case. This should be front panel connection for features such as the power switch, audio jacks, and USB ports. Step 5. Ground yourself. Put the grounding strap on your wrist and connect the other end to the computer case. If your strap is not equipped with a clip to hook to the case, find a place to wedge against the metal. This will prevent any build-up of status electricity on your body from damaging the computer components. Step 6 is install motherboard. To install the motherboard, we need parts that should have been included with your purchased components. First, Hyper of bezel is a trim panel installed in the back of the case that surround the interface ports on the motherboard. It should be included with the motherboard. Second, standoffs are installed in the case screw hole to create a riser that separates the case and motherboard. The screws installed into the standoffs. Screw and standoffs should be included with the case, but it is a good idea to order these items just in case they are included. Follow these steps to install the motherboard in the case. First, install the I/O or I per O bezel plate into the opening in the back of the case. It fuses in from the inside. Second, install standoff in the case. The standoffs screw into the motherboard mounting holes. Check the screw hole location on the motherboard for exact placement. Third, lower the motherboard into the case and align with the I per O bezel. And the last, install the screws. The motherboard installed in the case. It works best to leave the screws loose until all of them have been started and the board is aligned with the bezel. Step 7 is install hard drive. The hard drive is the device that stores all of your data. It is 3.5 inch wide and needs to be mounted so that you can gain access to the cable connection on the back. If that is not possible, you may need to connect cables before you install the drive. To mount the drive, first find a 3.5 inch drive bay to install the drive in. If you have trouble finding a place to mount the drive, consult your case documentation for suggestion. Second, slide the drive into place until the screw holes on the side are lined up with the holes in the case. Last, install the screws. Next is step 8, install optical drive. The optical drive is 5.25 inch wide and is installed in the drive bay. Cable access consideration apply to this drive also. To install the drive, first slide the drive into the drive bay until the screw holes are lined up and the front of the drive is flush with the front of the case. Make sure that it is oriented correctly. Second, install the screws. Step 9, install the CPU. The CPU is the brain of the computer. It is installed on the motherboard in the socket. To install the CPU, first, find the corner marking that designate pin 1 of the CPU. On this AMD brand processor, the corner is marked with an arrow. Consult the manufacturer documentation for specific information about your processor. Second, leave the small metal rod next to the socket. Third, find the corresponding marking on the CPU socket and insert the CPU so that the markings are lined up. Fourth, push the red down to lock the processor in place. Step 10 is install RAM. The RAM is the temporary memory location that the processor works from. Permanently stored data is pulled from this and stored in RAM while the processor works with it. The memory is easy to install. First, set the RAM board in the socket. Check to see that the nodes in the board is in the correct location. If it's not, turn it around 180 degrees. Second, press firmly on both ends of the board to set it into the socket. Make sure the tabs lock into place. Step 11. Install the CPU fan. The CPU fan is really a combination of a heatsink and fan together. The unit draws heat away from the CPU. To install this fan, first, Place thermal compound to the CPU following the instruction provided with the compound. Second, set the fan assembly on the CPU with mounting tabs aligned. Third, pull the locking rod down on the fan assembly to lock into place. Fourth, connect the fan assembly's power connector to the motherboard. Consult the manual to determine proper placement. Step 12. Install case fan. The case fan is usually installed on the back panel of the case. If the fan mount is not obvious, consult the case documentation. To mount the fan, first, align the mounting holes by holding the fan to the mounting pad on the inside of the case. The fan needs to be mounted so that it blows air out of the case. Second, insert the screw from the outside of the case and tighten. Step 13 is install power supply. Consult the case documentation for details and then follow this direction to install the power supply. First, align the mounting holes in the case and power supply. Second, insert screw and tighten. Step 14 is connect cables. With all of the components installed in the case, the jungle of wires can be daunting. It is important to consult the motherboard manual in order to make sure proper connection are made. There are two kinds of connection, power and data. Every device that has been installed needs power. The motherboard has two power connections, and there are two connectors specifically for SATA device. The other connector will run fans and other non-SATA device. Data cables connect drive and front panel device to the motherboard. Please consult the motherboard documentation for the exact placement of connector. And the last, step 15, wrap up. Now that the components are completely installed, the last thing to do is to install the side panels on the case. The computer is now ready to be turned on and to have software loaded on it. If the computer has problems starting up, check all component connection and mounting to make sure that you have hooked everything up correctly. Consult individually component manuals for specific troubleshooting information if trouble persists. Well, anyway, guys, so that's all about my presentation of how to install computer that I know. Sorry if my language is bad. Anyway, that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, comment, share if you like. Well, see you next time. Bye bye.